Hey everyone, we are finally back with another update video, and by we I mean with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Mike, I got
Yep.
jealous of your new setup over there, so I had to upgrade myself.
Awesome. Yeah, that's I'll see if I could find footage of one of our old videos, but I literally had just the regular wall back there with an 11 by 17 rectangular printout from my printer of our BitBeamCannon logo. So I took the time to figure out how to do the necessary file format for high-res printing on a very fancy futuristic foam board where they can actually cut out if you give them a vector outline. When we're ever doing a video where there's going to be some kind of product that I'm reviewing or need to show myself holding something up, then we'll have a much nicer background for that. But let me switch to the usual thing, and this is going to be a video for both game projects since it's been a while, and since in the case of MetroSiege, there's not a ton we can show yet because we're still waiting for that soon-to-be Amiga Bill Twitch live stream. There's still no date set, but it's only a matter of time and it should be pretty darn soon. So in regard to MetroSiege, what we can show you is that I have indeed been cleaning up the thugs quite a bit. It might not, unless you directly compare the last video with this one, it might be hard to see, but it makes a big difference in-game. And probably the biggest thing you'll notice compared to the previous video is if we load in the other thug with the beanie. That's another thing I've done, is now that these enemies are a bit more cleaned up and in the game, I've created the spriter files necessary to make the version that has the weapons. This very same guy, there's a version of him carrying a pipe, and you can disarm him and all that stuff, but so there we go. It's still on that frame, coincidentally. But basically, I've cleaned up a lot of the frames, at least a little bit, and especially I just wanted to perfect that motion blur for this uppercut attack. And that is in-game, and it looks pretty good, but we can't show you yet because we're waiting for the full reveal of level 3 as it's shaping up to be kind of world premiered, including the level 1 boss fight and all the stuff around that. And there's chunks of level 2 no one has seen yet. That's going to be premiered there. And then level 3. And if you recall, another thing that's going to happen is it'll be showing off the animated tile feature that Alex was able to work in. I also created another important animated tile sequence that's much more complicated that, again, we can't show you because it's going to be world premiered and it's kind of a spoiler, so we're not going to spoil that. Stay tuned on this channel and on our social media. We'll definitely announce as soon as that Amiga Bill live stream date is finally set, so keep an eye out for that. And then once it is, we'll be able to share all this stuff on our own videos with everyone. So we just promised Amiga Bill he'd have the world premiere to show everyone a lot of this stuff. So we look forward to that finally happening. But again, as we talked about in the previous update video, a big part of the way this animation looks finally in the game is the movement that the programmer, Alex, adds to it. So the character actually dashes forward or slides forward really quickly while he's doing that uppercut attack. And that's all.
That's a nice touch with that 1 pixel shift of the torso. It kind of looks like his jacket is flying out for a second. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, to remind everyone, this game, as will DaemonClaw, will be on many platforms, including modern platforms, but MetroSiege in particular, it's being developed from day one to run on classic 16-bit Amiga computers, and fingers crossed someday hopefully it'll end up ported to other 16-bit systems. But the point is, we actually have to be mindful of those real and severe memory limitations that those old systems had, but we also wanted more animations and smoother animations than were actually possible even on very high quality games like Streets of Rage 2 on the Mega Drive. So to pull that off though, we have to create these animations out of body part images that are as much as possible just repositioned to create new frames of animation, and then you just swap out an image with a whole new image when you absolutely need to. So what Corey was pointing out is when he does this uppercut from this frame to this frame, I'm mostly getting rid of the motion blur, but then I'm shifting a few, like the same exact body part images, just shifting them over or up or down 1 pixel to just add a little bit of the illusion of nuance and follow through with like the fabric and his arms. Like they've overextended from the extreme swing of the uppercut, and now they're kind of starting to recover. They're slowing down, starting to go back to a less extended pose. So it's those little nuances are the best an artist can do within these severe memory limitations to bridge that gap between what you would do if you could just hand draw every frame from scratch. But since we can't do that, we have to be as clever as possible with reusing the same body parts. Probably not in time for the Amiga Bill, since we're starting to lock down the build and just bug fix and polish, since it's going to happen very soon. But the Thug with the Pipe will end up in there, and then there's that other thing that we can't mention, another enemy that will be a spoiler. And that all ties in to those other animated tile animations I've been creating. The other cool news is we mentioned in our previous update video that John Takiris, the great sound guy and musician for MetroSiege, has been working on the new song for Level 3. And I love the other songs so far for MetroSiege, and I was able to hear in the latest test build his work in progress song for Level 3, and I love it. It will probably end up being premiered on the Amiga Bill stream in some state of work in progress. It's unlikely it'll be completely finished, but hopefully finished enough where he'll be happy with everyone to hear it. So there might be that caveat. It's not 100% polished by then. It's already sounding really cool.
Awesome.
And in other news, there was this retro event in Denmark, and they had asked me if there was any way to get a playable demo of MetroSiege for the event. And for several reasons, the team is not ready to release a demo to the public yet, and we really want to make sure that we get a demo up to a certain caliber and level of finish. We have a specific sequence planned. It's called a vertical slice of like the menu screen and then the intro cinematic and a certain amount of the game fully playable and it ending in a certain way before we release a demo to the public. So all that being said, I did have an idea because I was able to let my brother, who is also one of our Patreon patrons, play the game with me over Parsec, because even though I'm in France and he's in the US, he's got really good internet, and we were actually able to play very well on Parsec. So I mentioned to this guy, since he's in Europe, which is a lot closer, I figured it's close enough we could try it. And if the game plays smoothly enough, then I'll make myself available for a couple hours a day over the 2-day event to let people there play MetroSiege with me via Parsec. And that actually worked out really well. And because that worked out so well, we're going to extend an invitation to our Patreon patrons, any of them in Europe or with really good internet who wants to give it a try. Then we could arrange to schedule to have them actually play MetroSiege with me. But in general, what I'm thinking is, after all of the stuff that's kind of under wraps is revealed on the Amiga Bill stream, we're going to make sure our patrons get to play that version first. But if you're watching and you have a YouTube or Twitch channel dedicated to games, especially retro games, and you're interested in playing that, what will be the newest demo of MetroSiege with me, then you can email mail@bitbeamcannon.com, or even just contact us over YouTube or whatever, and we could try to work something out. And now it's time to move on to Daemon Claw, and we're going to be playing, or I'm going to be playing level 2, to show you guys the latest addition to Daemon Club, which we may have mentioned we were going to do in the previous update video. Alright, so let's use the cheat to go right to level 2, and then I'm going to further cheat to give myself full gauntlet power so that I can earn the what's called the energy cloak, which the Naruto fans might understand the concept.
Right, yeah.
But so
super ultra power, which now has its own sort of levels to it.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see now that there's this new placeholder meter set. I forgot this controller I have plugged in. Sometimes it bugs out. There's like a massive drift on the analog controller, and sometimes it tries to force me to keep walking to the right automatically. But anyway, you could see now I've grabbed 2, and now I'm about to grab the 3rd, so that fills me up. So not only do I have that cloak, which makes all of my magic more powerful, but also if I took a hit, I would immediately lose that cloak, but I would not lose a hit point, and that would bring me down to normal power level, or the highest power level before you can gain the cloak back. But then it annoyed me that if you kept earning more energy, it wasn't doing anything in the game. So Corey and I had recently done a Let's Play of Golden Axe 2, and that magic system really reminded me not only of Golden Axe, but also of the other classic great Sega Genesis / Mega Drive game, Revenge of Shinobi. And I thought that could be perfect to add a kind of full screen quote-unquote bomb mechanic where once you get to the cloak, you can decide at any point, okay, I want to sacrifice the cloak energy and just release it all as a full screen bomb to hurt any enemy on screen and basically get your butt out of trouble if you're in a sticky situation, or to help you quickly dispatch someone who's being troublesome, like sub-bosses, maybe you're surrounded, all that kind of stuff. But we were able to homage, we won't say just steal, but homage the cool mechanic that Golden Axe, a link to our Golden Axe 2 Let's Play. But I had mentioned to Corey while we were playing, it would be so cool if you could somehow decide how much of your magic potions that you grab or whatever. Like instead of, I think in the first Golden Axe, it was all or nothing. You keep collecting those magic potions, and then that'll determine how strong the magic is once you use it. But in Golden Axe 2, the longer you hold the magic button down before releasing it will let you decide how much of that magic power to use. So I've done the same thing, so now you'll see. I'm going to waste it while I'm here with the new one. I don't know, I'll walk a little bit. Let's see here. Get at least one. There we go. So I just tapped the button, so it only used one of those boxes up there. But then I can hold it down longer and it'll step through and do a stronger version, which, you know, the magic flame columns basically, they look bigger, they're wider graphics, and they do more damage. And then we can make that more fancy if we want to over time, but I wanted to get it in there, get the mechanic working, so we could test it out and balance the all of the power levels, like how much damage it does and stuff.
It opens up more options, basically, for every time you play the game, and we love that idea of adding replay value. So.
Exactly. So the other thing we should mention, because we're about to get up to it, another thing that we've done recently, you had just seen not too long ago one of those big giant ice boulders with the person encased in it that came flying down from the top of the screen, and we're about to hit the second version where 2 of those in successive order come slamming down. Oh, I gotta make it so that kills, like if it lands in a ram man, it'll kill him. That'll be cool.
Right.
I'll have to note
yeah,
that
and
down.
I had also made a few tweaks to this environment too since the last video. The main focus was just adding more variation to that edge, the cliff, and how the snow kind of goes into the rocks behind, you know? So.
Right. But the other thing is we had always intended, and now it's finally implemented, on kind of finishing that story for the player. Like, what is lobbing these giant, heavy ice boulders toward the player? And now we've got that story told, but the other cool thing is that's right near the end of the level, but that go arrow won't be there yet, because there will actually be a creature that was manning and loading and launching those ice boulders at the player. And you're actually going to not only see who was doing that, but get a chance to reward him for hurling frozen people at you by kicking his butt. Yeah, another really cool thing is, unfortunately for you viewers right now, I have the game muted, but the reason for that is the awesome musician Allister Brimble, who you probably know from the previous update videos, has made the title screen music. He's now completed, and we love the level 1 in-game music. And remember, there's 2 variants. Just like in Altered Beast, you start with the normal level music, and then once you get fully transformed into your werewolf or dragon man or whatever, the music goes to that other, more amped up song. and we've got a similar thing going on, and that sounds great. That's in game, and now I might as well restart the game to show you guys. Let's use the actual menu.
It's nice that you can do that now from within the game.
Absolutely.
Happy when we added that, yeah.
Yep. And then, so now you could see during this cinematic scene, that's the next bit of music that Mr. Brimble will be working on shortly. So that's all going smoothly. So basically the vertical slice, and this game is in a similar situation. We have still to this day not revealed the level 1 boss, even though he's been pretty much done for a long time. So we're getting the vertical slice for this game really well polished, complete with music. And then now that the music is done, one of the things I need to start doing is update all the sound effects to match, to sound really great and be well balanced in tone and volume and all that stuff to work well with the music. The other thing I started this weekend is actually, I've been itching to get back to work on some real big event kind of progress for Daemon Claw. So I rewatched the, one of the cool things we do for our Patreon patrons is when Corey and I are going to have a really important creative meeting to decide what's the boss going to be for this level and how are they going to behave, what are the gameplay mechanics, all of those things. We actually record the entire creative meeting and we upload that, and our patrons get to basically sit in with us and watch the entire creative process, and every idea that pops up and evolves as we discuss it, they get to watch in real time. And I rewatched that video and I got super excited for the level 2 boss. Since the level 1 boss is really done and quite polished, I really wanted to get going on that. So the first step is creating placeholder art of the right general size and creating really rough versions of all the animations needed so you can start to program in the logic, but even more importantly, get it functioning on screen in game, so that we can perfect the gameplay and the timing of all the animations before. It's not a good idea to do a bunch of art first and then get it working, because odds are you'll have to make pretty drastic changes and maybe even completely just get rid of or not use a bunch of art and animations. So it's much better for development and saving time, not wasting a bunch of time and energy. And that also can be disheartening if you do these really cool animations and they have to be scrapped because, oh, well, it worked great in theory and they looked good as animations, but it just doesn't work for gameplay for whatever reason. So that's one of the other things I'll be working on, other than in general just continuing to polish up this what's called vertical slice, which is making sure the whole menu system, splash screen, intro cinematic, and then the big thing, level 1 is quite polished and balanced for gameplay now, but level 2 never got that full treatment yet. So Corey and I will be reviewing the build and making a lot of tweaks in the short term. And also our patrons get to actually get builds of the game as works in progress and give us feedback.
Yeah, and the next thing I'll be doing is designing the guy that's manning the trebuchet, or in charge of it, I guess you could say. He's going to be a little different than the other enemies. I think we had a discussion about that. We have ideas for him, and then also just the level 2 boss. We have a pretty clear idea of what we want for him.
So that's about it for this update video. Thanks very much for watching.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.